right, football. We're only 2 weeks in, and this is like the weirdest season.
Yeah, two weeks in, and the Chicago Bears are just a disaster.
The Bears are a disaster. The Bengals are 0-2, so our teams aren't doing well at all.
Although the Bengals did start 0-2 last year, so no time for panic yet.
Not really. It is weird with Joey B. Just like, I don't know. I'm not too worried about Joey, but like everybody else is just kind of like, meanwhile, yeah, the Bears are an absolute dumpster fire. I feel so bad for you, man.
They might have 2 top 5 picks this season.
The Bears, and then like that whole crazy thing that was the Browns-Steelers game on Monday night.
That game was nuts.
Anyway, yeah, we're back with another week of football. DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping us in on all the action all season long. Great offers every single game day. New customers bet just $5 and you can get $200 in bonus bets right away. Excuse me, my brain. You guys know how these go. And really, yeah, just throw $5 down on anything and you get $200 in your DraftKings wallet right off the bat. It's an instant win, people. Unlike football.
Yeah, football doesn't always provide instant wins. Like, considering the fact that the Bears had 3 last season, things are great. They're great.
And you don't even have to be new for some fun stuff with DraftKings, y'all. Like, even we can get in on this. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Pretty sweet, right?
Yeah.
And like it's fun because like football's probably the most bet on sport, right? Just because you can build up that kind of like in America, yeah.
Because I think it's just I don't know if I want to say it's the easiest to bet on. It's the easiest to be engaged with betting.
Probably, yeah. That makes more sense. But yeah, football's more fun when you're in on the action. So download the app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1-800-GAMBLER.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Licensed partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles in Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Thanks, y'all.
You're listening to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your hosts, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
I woke up and like my belt broke a couple of days ago, like one of the ribs frayed off, right?
Yeah.
And so today I had plans to go with my mom to go to lunch. We were going to go to Walmart, get me a new belt, get me a couple of groceries, whatever. Lunch was great. Oh my God, this Troney Brothers place. If I could just name drop off the top of the show right now.
Yeah.
This new place in town. Really authentic Italian stuff. Oh.
Gotta love it.
Big pasta place. This big bake that we had. Great like trio of like manicotti and stuff. Manicotti, a stuffed shell, ravioli. It's like, oh, so good. Paisan, right?
Oh yeah.
So lunch was awesome. I still got leftovers. We go to Walmart, groceries secured just fine, whatever. Come back. I'm laying down. I'm like trying to rest up a little bit, right? Get a call from mom. Says, hey, you know why we went to Walmart in the first place, right?
You get back and you didn't get a belt.
we completely forgot about the belt.
I
God,
know that sounds about right.
that's so like,
No,
damn it, that's so me.
I realize it's kind of like when you like go upstairs for something, and then you're like, oh, I can also grab this and this and this, and then you go back downstairs and you're like, oh, I forgot to grab the thing I went up for the first place.
Yeah, that's just me. Like when I come in and out, because like my apartment is set up to where it's like bathrooms over here, bedroom doors over here, and you just go in and out of this little area, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll walk into my bedroom thinking like I'm gonna get something. And be like, what did I come in here for? And walk back out to like get a drink or something like that. And it's like, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kick off because we're going into season 3 now that we're like back.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to kick off season 3 with talking about Traverse City, or, you know, talking about how like today when we're recording this is the first day of Blue Jackets training camp or something like that, right? But instead, we're going to talk about Spittin Chiclets, Paul Bissonnette, Pascal Vincent, and Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
Because an entire scandal with a coach that didn't even last 2 months.
Did he even run a practice?
No. He did not make. He made it to the first day of the rookie tournament and didn't even coach in the rookie tournament.
Yeah, that's standard.
He was there, then like,
that's
but
standard.
he left the building.
Did he leave or was he escorted out?
Right, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, do we want to go chronological with this, or like here's where I want to start?
Yeah. Hey, you set it up, Doug. I'll trail you.
The dude is a psychopath, right? He's got to be some sort of like weird egotistical like.
So this is what I was thinking about earlier today about this instance, Jake. The reason I think it would be fair to use that word is because according to the players and the stories that we've heard, there is a clear strategy in it. If this was a guy who did this to everybody the same way, he did it to Jarmo, he did it to
He did do it to Jarmo, yep.
Did it to Jenner, all those guys, but he did it the same way that he did it to the younger players. That's just an old dude who clearly doesn't understand boundaries, doesn't understand power dynamics, hasn't learned anything, cannot coach in this league.
He did it different ways to different people.
That is where it's almost worse that he didn't do it to John.
So can we start with the story that like everybody had been talking about with the younger guy?
Yes.
So the story that like, all right, everybody knows. For context, we'll start with the way everything, like just a quick timeline of events, right?
This it unfolded quick.
Because it came out in a couple of days and then just became the biggest thing.
Is this like the fastest the NHL has ever gone through a scandal? like it felt like they were actually on this pretty quick.
It's funny because I don't even know. Shanny was player safety. He wasn't the PA. I don't know how fast Goodnow ever was with anything like this.
Yeah.
But Marty Walsh and our old buddy Ron Hainsey, these guys.
A great first impression. Like, here's the thing. Like, obviously, we're going to talk about the bad in this story. There is some good that comes out of this, and one of them is trust that I think the NHLPA gained, especially at the top with Ron Hainsey and Marty Walsh. What a good first impression for those guys.
This new regime, I feel like they're actually going to get stuff done.
Yeah, and that's excellent for the Players Association.
Yes. So quick timeline of events, because this whole thing happened within like the span of 10 days.
Yeah.
It was open and closed in 10 days.
Yeah. And it was just funny because it kind of went from like, oh, this story feels fabricated to, oh, maybe there's just a miscommunication. And then very quickly, this guy's not going to keep his job.
No, yeah. And it like part of that is because of source material and what have you, from where all of this came from and everything like that.
Yeah.
Because last Tuesday, we're recording this on Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. 21st night of September. Thank you.
You remember?
Do I remember? Do you remember?
It's imperative that you remember.
Last Tuesday.
Yes.
Spittin' Chiclets. It's not even like 10 in the morning. There's a story leaked from Paul Bissonnette and Whitney about, hey, I heard from a Blue Jackets player that Babs is up to some shit again.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, let me see your phone. I want to see pictures in your phone. I want to do, I want to scroll and see what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
A little bit later.
They claimed that happened to Boone Jenner.
Yes.
Now, we don't know if it happened that way with him or not. Boone Jenner put out a statement.
Boone and Babs put out a joint statement, right? Through the team?
Yeah, and Paul is sticking to his story that that's not how it happened with Jenner, and that seems like a little bit of, PR.
Yeah, PR plays a big part of this, believe me.
I'm going to trust Biz on this because he's gotten everything else right. And I'm going to assume that that's the captain trying to put out a fire.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair. Fair from Boone. Knowing how we know Boone Jenner.
And knowing how we know Mike Babcock, Biz made a great point. He's like, if Boone Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau say, oh, this was happening with Babs, and he doesn't get fired, those guys are fucked.
Right.
Those guys are those guys have several years left on their deals. They're the two of the most important players on the team.
Two of the most important, two of the most trustworthy guys.
Yeah. They would already be in the doghouse with this guy.
Yeah.
So I get it from Jenner's perspective and why he did that.
So Biz leaks the story about Boone and says that he did it with, multiple other players and used some language, some analogies that I don't know if I really want to get into. As much as they were funny, it's just kind of like,
he did say he regretted that because he didn't know at the time the severity of it.
Yeah.
It was, and this is one thing that I'm going to give myself credit for, that I was able to kind of pick up on in talking in my conversations with a friend about this, was even before we knew that it was for sure Mike Babcock was done. I think I was very easily able to pick up quickly that he heard the story. They went with it on the podcast, and at some point after it dropped, more players started texting.
Right. And more corroboration came in.
And that's why I think, on the podcast, you get him saying like, oh, I hope this is true. And then the next day when everything, shit hits the fan and the Blue Jackets put out that statement, he doubles and triples down on it because he had more confirmation at that time that we weren't aware of.
So like for me, obviously like this is all unfolding and I'm like trying to follow it on Discord and part of me is like trying to take a back seat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is the first big Columbus story probably that we've had since either Fantilli or Johnny, like really the biggest summer story since Johnny.
Well, it's the biggest story I think we ever had. It's bigger than Johnny Gaudreau signing.
Well,
here, as much as I love Johnny, but like the fact of the matter is no matter how good stories are, and Johnny Gaudreau signing here's a good story.
It was a huge story for us. We had a whole 2.5 hour show.
It's a good story, but the bad stories are the ones that you had to be the most delicate with in terms of how you cover. And I'm very happy that we held off of this.
Yeah, and
you and I both said we want to wait for the facts to come out. We don't want to come up here and speculate and get things wrong. And the fact of the matter is if we had recorded last Thursday or Friday or Saturday, we would have gotten shit wrong.
Right.
It's just
I don't know. It's nice doing this now that like we're still obviously we're going to be talking about this the whole season because there's so much fallout from this. Well, maybe not the whole season, but like still, we're going to be talking about this plenty within the next little while.
Oh, it'll be a joke.
It'll be a thing. It'll like absolutely be a thing.
Joke. Yeah, for sure.
It'll be a thing. So that happens. The Avalanche starts unraveling and falling down.
Yeah, so you get the Jenner statement, then you get Johnny Gaudreau going on 32 Thoughts with Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman. He talks
during
about
media day, right?
And I believe him. I believe every word he said.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, I could totally believe that Mike Babcock would actually treat him well. He is the best player on the team. He's got 6 years left on his deal. He is important to the success of Mike Babcock. So,
yeah, exactly. And what did we say?
Treats well.
What did we say when, we were first like warming up to the idea of Babcock?
We said a lot of things, so you're going to have to help me out on this one.
we said that, he needs the Blue Jackets more than...
Yes. We kind of nailed that. But the problem is, part of the reason we said that was because we kind of thought that he knew that. And I almost wonder if today he didn't know it. Yeah. Like part of me, I look at his pattern of behaviors and I'm like, so the one thing that I learned through this that I actually wasn't really aware of, his firing in Toronto, granted at the time, the Leafs had a poor start to the 1920 season. Great year. And they fire him, I want to say 22 or 23 games into the season.
23, because I remember Kaskishwo getting blown out.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
And then Sheldon came when they were going to Arizona. And I remember that.
This was right after the Vegas game where Marc-Andre Fleury made that hilarious save.
Oh gosh, that save.
In the game. So at the time, I think myself and a lot of people thought, oh, this is a guy just getting fired because the team is off to a bad start. They had come off 2 bad games, 7 losses to Boston. It's just a standard firing, right?
Right. And then that offseason happens and all those stories start coming out.
And what
about the Mitch list, about Spezza, about all of this stuff.
I kind of thought that those were just kind of side stories. He got fired for performance. Players also didn't like him.
Right.
Found out, through this whole process, no, he got fired because of that stuff. It wasn't because of the performance on the ice. No, the performance on the ice didn't help.
Did not help. No,
fire him. Him not having the performance on the ice was the final nail in the coffin. Because remember, they signed him to a massive deal, so they were paying the guy a lot of money.
Yes,
and he didn't get another job in the National Hockey League for 4 years. 4 years is a long time.
Yep.
And it's no coincidence that he finally got a contract and a new job once his deal with Toronto ended.
Right, like ASAP. As soon as midnight hit.
We found out
like
in May that this was going to happen, and then they signed him July 1st. Well, July 1st, the reason they didn't hire him in May and they did it in July 1st is because that was
the terms of the contract, right? Yeah.
I almost wonder if this is a guy who didn't know that he has been out of coaching for 4 years because of those stories. And I think he may have just thought he's been out of coaching because of the contract.
Because maybe that's regular hockey reasons. Maybe, I don't know.
And there's one thing that Biz said that I 100% agree with, because you and I are second chance guys. We are.
And here's my whole thing with, can we just talk about the whole thing with the source material for a minute? Because
can I make a quick point and then we can get into that?
Go ahead.
The one thing that he said that I agree with is where are we at in society if you can't believe that somebody can change and grow in 4 years?
Exactly. And
that's where
we always say 4 years is a long time. Contract.
A presidential term.
It's a presidential term. Think about it in terms of when we talk about a contract.
The last time this guy coached, the day he got fired, if you had asked him, well, what are you going to do to prepare for COVID-19? His response would have been, what the fuck is COVID-19?
I think his response would have been more like, what the hell are you talking about, boys?
Like, that's how long it's been. COVID wasn't a thing when he got fired.
Right, exactly. This is pre-COVID.
Yes. So, like,
this is can we separate like hockey eras now in terms of CE and BCE with before COVID era and COVID era?
Before the 04-05 lockout, between that and the 12-13 lockout, post 12-13 lockout,
12-13
COVID,
and now post-COVID.
That is how I honestly am viewing hockey right now. Those are the eras in my mind. But we'll get into your point about source material.
All right. So, like, Chiclets and Biz and Wit, Barstool.
Yeah.
Fuck Barstool. Just as a blanket statement and what they and Portnoy is fucking...
Yeah, no, I've got my opinions on him too. I don't hate everybody who works for them. There are some good people there. It is hard to sometimes separate them because
and Biz is fine, and Chiclets is whatever, and Pink Whitney is mediocre at best.
I like Pardon My Take. I think those guys are funny.
Those guys are fine. McAfee's fun.
I don't really listen to Chiclets just because it's not
exactly
my style. I'll listen to them. They have some good interviews. I listened to them when they had Elvis on a couple years ago. That was a good interview.
The Binner interview was fun.
Yeah, they've had some good interviews. They're good at that stuff.
The Berkey interview is a classic. It's like
I listened to that. Yeah, they've had Gretzky on. Like, God, you got to listen to that. Like,
exactly.
No doubt about it. They've had some good interviews. They're fun to listen to during the playoff time, but regular season, I don't really listen to them that much.
Yeah, they're not my cup of tea, even though they're the biggest hockey pod like out there.
No doubt about it. They're the most influential hockey podcast there is, without a shadow of a doubt.
So, like, we can separate. We've now stated our opinions. We can separate that they did do a good thing, regardless of what your opinions of Biz and Wit and Chiclets is.
I think it's important to look at the fact that they did a really, really good thing. Because at the end of the day, Jake, like, whatever your opinions of Barstool are, and whatever opinions you may have, fair. Like, I get it. Some people like them. Some people don't like them.
Yep.
Whatever it is, though, it's important to separate it and look at what they did here, because I don't know Paul Bissonnette. I don't know Ryan Whitney. I don't know these guys.
Right.
Personally.
Yeah.
What we know, though, a lot of people like them. And I would say for good reason. And clearly, there's a reason players trust these guys.
Yeah. Did we ever actually finish the timeline? Shit.
So we got the Jenner, the Johnny.
We got Jenner and Johnny
here on 32 Thoughts. Then we get to the NHLPA flying into Columbus, interviewing players.
Right, and that was like Friday, that was when we knew that was like, okay, we actually have something going on here.
Yes, and then the Friday meeting in New York City that was planned. This wasn't an impromptu meeting. This was something that's supposed to happen before the season, but obviously the number one thing,
normal thing, but then
became the Babcock situation.
Right,
and that is when we found out that those meetings were, as quoted by Elliot Friedman, intense.
Yeah.
And over the course of the weekend, it sounded more and more like this guy is not going to keep his job. He ultimately ends up resigning on Sunday.
The McConnells made a statement, Jay.
Yeah.
We never hear from ownership in Columbus.
The last time we heard them make any sort of statement, we never hear from them. No. And I don't mind that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about having a hands-off. Like, the McConnells are as hands-off of an ownership core that you can have.
Yeah.
Like, we know about Jeremy Jacobs by name because of hands-on things that he's done. We know about the Melnicks. We know about the Wirtzes.
Yeah.
Like, because they're hands-on owners. Who? Tell me, Jay. Who owns the Florida Panthers?
Could not tell you.
Exactly.
No idea.
That's the only reason why. The only reason why we know the McConnells is because they're our franchise.
Dude, if I was a freaking Ducks fan, like, I wouldn't know.
Exactly.
For that matter, I couldn't tell you who owns the Ducks. It's probably the Disney Corporation, right?
I think they at least have a stake. I don't know.
I think they own it for a little bit, at least. Maybe I'm being an idiot here.
Right. No. Yeah, I don't know. Hasso Plattner owns the Sharks, and then I only know that because somebody recently said that.
No, like, no idea. Let's look it up. Who owns the Ducks?
The point is to say
Corporation and his wife Susan. So I was right. The Walt Disney Company did own the Mighty Ducks until
the Mighty Ducks. Right.
So,
and then
look at me knowing something, even though I was about 17 years late to the party. Or 18, actually.
I mean, we talk about owners when they do stuff, right? Like when Terry's in the news, frequently when Melnick did his stuff before he passed away, and when he passed away.
There's a reason we know Jeremy Jacobs' name, as you had mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like,
all that to say is, like, with Columbus ownership making a statement, that's a big thing.
It is a big deal. It's a really, really, really big deal. And I think that they made a very stern statement, and I think their statement was incredibly telling.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really big year. Like, we knew this was a really big year. If you thought it was a big year for the Blue Jackets, it just got bigger for people in the front office.
It's crazy because, like, we talked about when Babs came on, we were like, what's the possibility that both Babs and Jarmo walk, right, after the contracts are up?
Yeah, that was the conversation. And funny enough, we nailed it, that we were like, the good thing about this is it's a 2-year deal. Yeah, Pascal Vincent, he can become head coach at any time, and then he did. But
we'll talk about Pazzi in a minute, right? We'll talk about Pazzi later. Our
theory about this was really it's 1 year.
Yeah.
And if it goes well enough, you give the guys an extension.
The guy doesn't even make it to training camp, Jay. This tenure lasted 78 days.
Unreal. Like,
and this whole incident happened, like, I want to say all this stuff happened, over the summer. Like, it happened at his house.
Hired July 1st. Like, I don't know when Boone Jenner had his wedding, but this stuff happened prior to the wedding.
Yes.
That's like what? Like, he probably had a little less than a month.
Right.
Or something happened.
And I want to talk about this most recent thing with the young kid because, like, we don't know who he is.
We don't know who it is. We're not going to speculate who it is. It's not
our place
to do that. And really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which player.
It doesn't matter who it is. But when you're doing this to the young guys, when you're inviting somebody over for lunch to try to get to know somebody, whatever, you learn rapport with your players over years. You don't learn it over a summer.
Yeah.
He invites him to lunch. He's like, give me your phone. Spends like half an hour scrolling, right? Hands him the phone back and kicks him out of his house before not even giving him lunch.
That's like I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh, but it is objectively hilarious that he didn't even.
Such a wild, such a stupid, like, what?
It's like the other thing is, like, the first bad sign about that. Do you know what it is to me? The first bad sign before he even gets to the house and gives him his phone.
Yeah.
Babs, you really want to get to know these players. I think it would mean something if you would maybe take a trip and say, hey, can I go over to your place? There's already an establishment of a power dynamic when you have the player come to your house.
Right, exactly. And people...
It seems like it's not huge, but I do think it's a small element, and then it just escalates to him being just totally invading his privacy.
It's a huge invasion of privacy. It's a whole thing with today's players, and that's the thing with the way the game is now and the way the world is now.
Yeah.
How the whole world you have is on your phone.
Yeah. So there is one thing I will say that we'll briefly mention Mike Commodore.
Do we really want to talk about Kami? I don't know.
Having a field day. The reason I want to bring him up, though, is he actually made a really good point.
Did he?
He did. Hear
me
out on this one. In the invasion of privacy, the one thing, everybody's thinking like, oh, he's probably saying things like, forget about just the invasion of privacy.
Funny coming from a guy that took pictures of Babs as he was exiting and cleaning out a hotel room to leave.
What if you find out information about a player that you're not supposed to know? Forget about just seeing pictures of maybe the guy partying or maybe inappropriate stuff. One thing that Commodore brought up was, what if you have a player who's gay and is in the closet?
Yes, that is actually a good point, and
it's a really good point. It's and not to spoil anything if people haven't seen Ted Lasso, that's actually something that they covered in one of their later episodes of the show, and how they dealt with that. That's an incredibly uncomfortable situation, because we only have one player who is openly
he's still in juniors.
It's still a very new thing to hockey. We only have one player who has come out and he hasn't even played a game. So like, if you find something out like that's just, I can't imagine how horrific that would be, how traumatizing that would be.
Yeah. And especially if you're a coach like Babcock, to hang that over a player's head.
Because I don't want to make any assumptions, but probably could be something that he might hang over a player's head. You never know. He's held stranger things over players' heads before. So it's just
run up the hill with the references today, right?
What?
Said run up the hill with the references today, right?
Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because I did think it was a good point, because I think a lot of people, when they think about the invasion of privacy, it's like people think about it maybe in a context that's different than how we should be viewing it.
Yes.
Because not everybody has things on their phone that they're afraid to hide.
Right. And like Boone was, I'm sure, willing to share his wedding photos, and they went through team meetings, and apparently Babs did this with previous orgs that he's with, where he like puts them up on a screen to share things as like a team bonding thing.
And that's like, it's very strategic. There's an establishment of him doing this, and there's an establishment of him doing it differently with other players. And that was the one thing that surprised me about this, was hearing that the things that are happening that he did in Columbus were happening in Toronto. He did these to players in Toronto.
He did it in Detroit too, apparently.
I'm stunned that never came out when he got fired in Toronto.
Right.
Because what Biz said is that when Babs got fired in Toronto, the day he got fired, 2 players had gone to the GM, which at the time was Val Dubas,
right,
and requested trades,
right,
and said, if you got to keep him as head coach, it's fine. We understand, but I can't.
But I don't want to be.
I cannot be around him. And that's when they made the decision, which I didn't know until now. And it's stunning to me that all the stuff that came out. I'm very surprised that this was one element that didn't, because apparently there is a player in Toronto who's like the designated player. So this would have been a player who was there for a long time, who warned new players that this was coming.
Right, the designated Babs guy.
The guy who'd be like, hey, welcome to Toronto. Happy to have you here. Clean out your fucking photos and your texts, and make sure it's not clean, because whenever you have that first meeting with Babs, he's going to look through your phone.
Right.
stunning to me that never got out.
Well, because of everything else that was going on.
There were definitely bigger stories, I think. Obviously, the Marner one being one, but I'm genuinely surprised that we can handle one story at a time.
This freaking guy.
It's disappointing. I want to mention real quick, like one thing that I think is important, and I want to say this on behalf of myself. I will say it on your behalf too, because I know you're going to agree with me.
Okay.
And the entire fan base. You should not feel stupid or ashamed at all for believing in second chances and giving this guy a second chance.
It's like, look where that got us.
Yeah, just because it ended in 78 days and he didn't change his ways doesn't mean you're an idiot or you should feel stupid or ashamed for believing a guy deserves a second chance. He got a second chance. He fucking blew it. That's not on the fans. It's not.
Maybe this is just a symptom of how terminally online I can be. But when I go on, Twitter or I go on certain Discord chats or whatever, and I see people dogging on us as a fan base for this, it's like, we didn't have any control over this. He came out of nowhere to us.
This would happen with any fan base. I'd say that with a lot of incidences. Like a lot of people look at that, like anything that happens, and they're like, well, this fan base is this. And it's like, no, this would happen in any fan base.
I think that comes with us being a smaller market that hasn't done much.
Do you know what I also think it is, Jake? And this is part of the reason I think they hired Babcock in the first place, is because we so desperately wanted this to be Torts 2.0. You hire a coach coming off.
Yeah.
A hard ass coach who's won a cup, but it was a while ago, who has a bit of a reputation. That reputation.
We can redeem him.
You bring him in. This is a coach that you traditionally wouldn't be able to get if their reputation wasn't in the toilet. Right. If they're at the top of their game, wouldn't go to Columbus, right? And you redeem them. Like Babs is the third coach that Jarmo has hired. Todd Richards, he inherited.
Yes.
So his first coaching hire was Tortorella. His second was Brad Larson.
Well, that was more of a promotion, but yes.
Yes. So you look at it and you say, okay, Torts was a retread, similar situation, but not quite as bad as Babs.
Right.
We hired a guy internally. Absolute disaster.
Didn't work.
Maybe one of the worst coaches for this organization in its history. He was that bad.
Yeah,
so I think tried to do that again, and I think a lot of the fans, including us, when we tried to convince ourselves of this, bought into that concept of this is why this can work because it has worked for us before.
Redemption arc.
You shouldn't feel stupid for buying into that. This guy, like, we know who he is now, right?
Oh yeah,
still a good coach.
Yes, we've said 700 wins. It's nothing to sneeze at. He coached Team Canada. He's brilliant hockey mind.
Been to 3 finals, gold medal. Like his track record is what it is for a reason.
Yes,
you don't get there if you don't know X's and O's. Okay,
exactly.
So nobody should feel stupid for buying in and having a hope and believing in second chances. And I don't think that it's on Blue Jackets fans for, wanting this to work out and maybe doubting the initial report. I think skepticism is important. Maybe we should have been more skeptical of the organization and the PR and all that stuff.
All right, we'll talk about them in 2 seconds because that's part of it.
I just wanted to let that out. I want people to know, like, if you felt stupid through this process, you shouldn't.
No, we're gonna look at the season. We're now into training camp, and we're gonna look at the season. We know we have plenty of excitement. Texier's back. Fantilli's coming in. Voronkov's coming in.
There's still a lot to be excited about here.
This is year 2 of Johnny. Like, it's like, come on, this is gonna be huge. Just cleaning up the rest of the timeline. Jarmo and JD speak.
Like, I don't mean to laugh at so many parts of this.
No, I know, I get it. Because this whole thing's been crazy.
I was wheezing when I saw the tweet from Portsy when he was like, Jarmo apologized to the team this morning. Like, there's something so funny about just imagining how that must have gone down. Like, did he walk in and he was just like the South Park, "We're sorry."
Or did he go in and just be like, call a meeting with everybody and just been like, I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Showing off his big old Jarmo biceps, like, boys, I made a mistake. Sorry. I can't do it as well as you can.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it right now.
Maybe later. But yeah, so like they both speak, and Jarmo, they both said pretty much the same thing, that they screwed up and they want to be better. They should have done more.
Yeah. We get the statement, as you talked about earlier, from the McConnell family, that would have happened around the same time.
And they did put, there's a reason why JD and Jarmo are still here.
Do we want to discuss the reason? We know the reason, right?
Go ahead.
There is no way in hell. So with this, because he resigned, I don't know what the exact dollar amount's going to be. But the amount that they're paying Mike Babcock, whether it be immediate or over the next 2 years, is not $0.
Right. They still need to. Do they still need to pay him out because he resigned?
Yes.
Is that how that works? Okay.
Yeah. Because it's not fired it's not being fired with cause, which would have been a much different scenario.
It's a
I don't know if he's getting the full $8 million. I don't know if he's getting $4 million or $2 million. I don't know what the number is. I have no idea. And I don't know how long it's being paid out. But the dollar amount that he's going to get paid is not $0.
Right.
Know that. They're paying Brad Larson. They fired him.
God, I forgot. Why do we need to pay this guy? Like, the whole thing with paying coaches when they're gone is stupid.
So they're paying Brad Larson. They're paying Mike Babcock. And right now they're paying Pascal Vincent. Are they going to?
Why the hell
pay Jarmo Kekalainen, John Davidson, a new GM, and a new president?
No. They got to see it through with these guys.
I don't know if it's necessarily seeing it through.
Well, maybe not seeing it through, but
as much as it's just saying, like, I also think the timing of it too. If this happens in July or August, maybe they would be willing to open up the checkbook and make a move and see who's out there.
Right.
With it being this close to the season, I think it would be detrimental to make a change at general manager and president with very limited options out there. I think that's why, along with the money. So even though I was pretty pissed and I said they should be fired, and I stand by it, I think they should be fired. Their tenures, their futures with the team was tied to who they hired as head coach. They hired a coach who didn't even make it to training camp.
And this is what leads into where we are now, where, they say they made a mistake. They promote, whatever you want to say.
They promote the guy who probably should have freaking got the job in the first place.
That's my point. Why didn't you go there first?
We went through all of this.
We went through all this for nothing.
To end up with the guy that probably should have gotten it anyway.
We went through all this for fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what fires me up. Like, I sound angry and I look angry because, like, why are we doing that? Why did we do this?
Yeah.
I'm
not sure if I'd be more angry if Pascal Vincent wasn't around, like if he had gotten a head coaching job elsewhere.
If you knew that Pazzi was going to be your guy in the first place.
Yeah. It's like, a lot of headache could have just been avoided had they hired the guy in the first place. By all accounts, and I'm not gonna lie,
he's a perfect guy, and you hear it from players. You heard it from Patrick Laine. He knew him back in Winnipeg.
You've heard it from just about everybody member out there talking about how much they like this guy, how much this guy deserves it. And it's important to note that a lot of the media members who are saying these positive things about him were skeptical of the Brad Larson hire. So maybe they're onto something there. Like, there's less skepticism about Pascal Vincent being a head coach for the Blue Jackets than there
than there was about Brad Larson. Yeah.
So I definitely feel confident in that regard. And that is a part of the good here. It's frustrating, but it's a part of the good here. The right guy got the job.
Dude, it's got me so pissed off that we even had to go through this.
Yeah.
In the first place.
The weird thing is I actually think it could be a good thing.
I hope this is a good thing. I hope this lights a fire under guys.
I think it's the kind of experience that brings guys together. I think it's the kind of thing that, like, for Pascal Vincent too, him coming into the situation, I almost think with him coming in so close to training camp, this is a coach who's not going to overthink it. His instincts are going to take over, and that's just going to be it.
From all accounts, from like looking at Jeff's IG stories, from looking at the Blue Jacket stories, from looking at their tweets, from looking at everything went well over today's first day of camp.
That's a good thing. And here's, like, I'm really pulling for Pascal Vincent because he seems like
I am. Yeah, and like
also he looks unfreaking believable for 52. That is absurd. There is no freaking way on earth that dude is 52 years old.
No, he looks like he's more like Brad's age, right? And Brad's what? In his early mid-40s?
Is he even that old? I thought Brad was like 41 or 42.
That's what I thought he was like 44.
Like, this guy looks great. I want to make that note. I think that's important.
To like, well, okay. The Babs fallout is that, now we have Pazzy. Finally.
Yeah.
He's
do you know what the most important thing from this is?
Here's my thing is, like, you are on the, Jarmo should have been fired train.
Yes. Yes, I am.
I'm still not I'm not 100% there. I'm not 100%.
He's not getting fired, so I'm not going to push for it. I'm not angry enough to where I'm like beyond mad that him and John Davidson are still here. And part of that's because I saw it coming. I felt like after all that happened, like it was very realistic because of what I mentioned earlier with paying 3 coaches already.
Well, that and look at their track record.
I think it can just be a blip. It's the thing that gives me that I remain with a little.
It's a big blip. Don't get me wrong.
Big blip. But if Pascal Vincent goes out and, granted, he wasn't your first choice. You lucked into this. You completely lucked into this.
Oh, yeah.
Because you made the wrong hire. You're lucky that he was still here, so you promoted him. Even if it's just blind luck.
That was blind dumb luck.
And it is clear he is a good coach.
Yep.
And the team makes big strides.
Yep.
And we still have a discussion about extending Jarmo because you'd want him to see his work as it progresses.
Yes.
Because it's the youngest team in the league.
Yes, it is. It's what, average age 25 and a half?
I think it like 25.1 or 25.2. It's a ridiculously young team.
It is the youngest team. Like, I remember seeing that statistic in terms of average age.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like that is, that's important. It's an element. And if the team overperforms and you look at Adam Fantilli is a core player and Ken Johnson's a core player and you got Johnny Gaudreau and Zach
Marchenko and
we talk about all these guys and they're developing and these guys are getting better and they're super young. You probably would look at extending that general manager. So I'm not pissed that he's still here. I understand. Right. What I'm saying is, from my perspective, if I owned the Blue Jackets, that would have been enough for me to pull the plug.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that statement, going back to the McConnells for one last second, it puts enough faith in those two
but also puts pressure.
But it does put pressure. It's a good balanced statement of we do still believe in these guys, but Their time's ticking.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that because I believe it. And I think the expectations get ticked up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think anything less than 77 points this season, you could see these guys either get fired or not be extended, and you're running into the last year of their deal next year.
Right.
If you go out and you get 78 or more points, and this team's making big strides, because 78 points would be a 19-point improvement from last season.
From last year, well, like anything's an improvement from last year. God.
Like, at that point, you'd look into, okay, like maybe we are trending in the right direction here, and we'll have discussions at least.
Right.
The one thing I think is important here, guys, maybe the most important thing here, more than Spittin' Chiclets, more than Mike Babcock, more than Jarmo, more than JD, more than how incredibly young Pascal Vincent looks. The fucking players, the young guys stepping up.
Yes.
Looking after each other.
Yes.
That is so important. And it's a great sign of leadership from young players. And it puts this sport in this league in a better direction.
We saw that, with a lot of other younger players around the league, young guys getting letters.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of seasons. And that speaks to the broader topic that I want to talk about for, I don't know, at least a few minutes. And that ties back to Biz, that ties back to a lot of things with the coaching, is general culture changes in this league now.
We're starting to see a shift. A significant shift.
Quinn Hughes just got named the Canucks captain.
An American. A young American in that market. And everybody loves him. And he's a quiet kid, too.
He's a very quiet
One of those
guy.
quiet leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, is an amazing defenseman. Just fantastic offensively.
Right.
And obviously players, look up to him. They look at him as the leader. And the most notable thing about him are the hilarious pictures you see of him online, where he's just in the penalty box or on the bench and he's just like,
well, Quinn just kind of has this. Quinn has
zoned out.
He has that face of like a college kid after an all-nighter.
Yeah.
He just always has that face.
Yes. It's the funniest thing.
Like poor Quinn. I love the kid, but like, man.
You want to talk about young players and leadership in the league. You don't even have to go that far in division. Look at the Devils.
Nico Hischier, look at Nico and
captain, Jack Hughes, alternate captain. They've got a lot of really, really young players. Like I think even remember the Devils won 52 games last year. I still think they're in the top 5 for youngest teams in the league.
I believe they're like 3rd or 4th this year. Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. The team won 52 games last season. They're still absurdly young.
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's more than just the youth movement in terms of the leadership. It's the way players are, it's the way players are approaching their coaches and saying, we're not going to take any shit anymore.
Yeah.
You need to be better to us as people.
Yeah.
We can take hard ass coaching.
Yeah, this isn't but these aren't players being soft and being moody after their coach yells at them for turning the puck over too much.
Exactly.
This is a player being like, hey, stop going through my phone.
This is a player being like, hey, don't
completely different things. Like,
don't call me a racial slur.
That's not hard coaching
for the locker room, in front of everybody.
Yeah.
It's, be a decent person while also being a good coach. right? Like,
I don't think there's a better example of this, and he's been there a while. Like John Cooper.
John Cooper is the only coach in the NHL right now that is going into double digits coaching a single team.
Yeah. There's a reason he has been there that long. Players fucking love that guy.
Most teams, I want to say at least 20 to 25 of the teams in this league are going with guys that are either going in as first-year coaches or are their second or third year.
My buddy actually sent this to me, not funny enough, not even a half hour ago. This is from The Athletic.
Okay.
These are anonymous players being asked this question.
Yep.
There are 33 responses, okay? Who is one coach, current or otherwise, you think it would be cool to play for?
Right.
Top 3 on that list. So tied. So there's a tie for second/third.
Okay.
Jim Montgomery and Rod Brindamore.
Jimmy and Brindy. Yep. Monty and Brindy. Absolutely.
And number 1 was John Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
That guy does it right, man.
Yes. I mean, look at what his Tampa teams have done over the last few years.
Not even just what they've done. I don't think we understand how absurd of an accomplishment it is to make it 10 years as a coach.
Yeah, to be there that long.
With today's NHL and how things go, 10 years is unheard of.
That's unreal.
It really is.
That is unreal. When's the last time we heard of even that benchmark in general before John? Scotty Bowman doing anything? Barry Trotz with the Preds?
Yeah, Barry Trotz was in Nashville forever. So yeah, Trotz was up there too for God, who wouldn't want to play for Barry Trotz?
Who wouldn't? Yeah, exactly.
But God, I can't even like Sullivan has been in Pittsburgh for what, 8 years?
Sully's been there a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just what's Lindy Ruff was in Buffalo forever.
Lindy, well, again, like these are going back a few.
We're going back. Like he left Buffalo in what, like 2012. So talking about a guy who's coaching in the 90s until 2012. Like, okay, this is how we view the NHL, right? Since the lockout in 2012, only one coach has hit that 10-year mark,
and that's John.
Yeah,
that's Coop. That's like
we
it's crazy.
The NHL in eras.
Yes, we do. And it's easy to do that considering how the work stoppages happen and how the world works and whatever. Yeah. But the other parts of the culture change that I think, are important to address here are, like Biz is not a journalist.
No, and he doesn't profess to be one either. And
no, like we learned this from watching Agent Provocateur just yesterday.
I don't profess, and I don't think he does either. I don't like he said it like this. I think this is a one-off. I don't think he's going to be getting like a ton of stories now from these players.
No.
And I don't think he wants that either.
I don't think he does either. And it was good to see like a more cohesive, like
a very serious,
a very tied together side to Paul Bissonnette, right?
Yeah. We saw a ton of depth from him in his appearances on podcasts these last couple of days.
And it's like, I feel like part of that does have to do with him being under both umbrellas with Barstool and TNT. He
did get extended today.
He did get the extension with TNT. That was good
awesome
for him.
Love that whole panel. I'm glad that they all got extended. TNT. Yeah. I thought there was one thing, like real quick aside. I was curious as to how TNT would perceive how things kind of went last week, in particular some of the language he used online. But it didn't surprise me what Freach said. It makes sense. It's like TNT sticks by their people. Like, do you know how many times they've gone to Inside the NBA and been like, these guys need to tone it down, and those in TNT were like, no.
Right. No. And well, that's the thing is like
no chance. We're not gonna add Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley to tone it down.
To chill. Yeah. And that's the thing is like Biz can do that with Barstool because Barstool is what it is.
Yeah, like they give
it's a frat boy culture.
They give him a platform where he can be his true, most authentic self, and not have to worry about anything.
Right, and it's a frat boy locker room culture. Barstool, TNT is a little more buttoned up.
Yeah, because it's a major corporation.
Because it's what it is.
Like look at the guys he's got on that panel with him: Anson Carter, Henrik Lundqvist,
Wayne Gretzky, bro.
You know, a little different vibe from those guys, but those guys love him. They all work
but still,
well.
It's like, dude.
Yeah.
You got some of the best players, and then you've got like Anson and Biz are who they are because they're, in the lower echelons of players. But then when you also have two of the best that ever did their respective thing.
They're the player of all time and a top 5 goalie of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a huge panel.
Yeah.
Huge panel. And what does that say for, podcasters like us, like the SDPN, like anything else that THPN is going to do, us breaking this kind of stuff?
There's a way to do it.
There's a way for us to do it, but at the same time, like, we just talk.
Yeah, exactly. The good thing, I think, a really good thing that comes out of this from Spittin Chiclets specifically is like, and Alan Walsh mentioned this, is that you have a league now that's kind of that has to be aware, is fully aware that there's an outlet here for players to take their significant complaints.
Full out for blood, like this new PA, dude.
Yeah. You get improvements from the PA. You've got an outlet in Spittin Chiclets that can get some of these, stories out. Teams, I think, are looking at this like, I think it might have an impact on coaching searches, GM searches, how things are handled internally. It's gonna make people aware.
I think we're definitely entering an era where we're going to get the most outspoken in terms of, like, we're still going to get all the cliche watered down interviews everywhere.
We got to get pucks in deep, we just got to cycle.
We just got to apply our pressure. We got to get pucks on net.
Check pucks on net.
Our boys played really well tonight. I really like how we handled whatever.
Indeed. Liked how we handled our business.
We got a lot of really good players on this team.
This happened before we could really do some.
That sucks. Oh man.
No, that is a shame.
Those Babs impressions, man. We didn't even get to do like Babs and Jarmo together. Like, we really wanted to do that.
I have to say it's a shame. I went into the dressing room earlier today and apologized to the guys for what had happened. We want to thank Mike for his professionalism. What the fuck was up with that, man? Why did he thank him for his professionalism? That's the next point I want.
Well, okay, that's another thing. Like, we're cycling all the way back.
He was super professional. He handled those phones in the most cordial way you could imagine. He took the phone with care. He didn't drop any of them.
This came
accidentally take a screenshot when he grabs someone's phone.
We forgot to even mention this off the hop. This came 2 days after he comes out and he says, we've got like initiatives with the players to work on their mental health and work on communication skills with me and keep me accountable and all this shit.
Like, what?
2 days after he himself said they can keep me accountable.
Well, guess what, Mike? They did. Like, how did that happen? Like, how did
the hell?
all those things, say all those things. And this I don't get it. Like that is so nuts. That is like something a child would do. Like literally, what happens when you're like 6 and you're just like, okay, fine, I'll stop eating food before dinner, and then like 2 days later you're eating food before dinner and
you're
you get
like
caught.
munching on a bag of chips like right before dinner.
And it's like, you just told me like 2 days ago you weren't gonna. You couldn't have waited at least a week.
Well, I think that part of that has to do with the disconnect between like when all the events with the players happened, right?
Yeah.
Versus him getting, and saying what he said and all of that. And then all the.
They talk all about that. Like about things being posted, like, oh, you players can keep me accountable. Do you think they were looking at their phone and like seeing the videos and that shit on Twitter or YouTube and being like, this fucking guy, like this fucking dude?
I'm pretty sure he might have asked about some phones later. Let me see what you're looking at on, what is it now, X there?
As long as it's Twitter.
I think we've ran long enough. Do you think we covered like the culture aspects of this enough? Like, I definitely think we're entering an era where like players are going to be way more outspoken than normal.
We've hit just about every point that I wanted to hit, which I'm glad about. I don't want to make it like obviously we're making a couple jokes here and there to kind of keep it lighthearted. I hope people aren't taking it as we're not taking it 100% serious.
No, exactly. Like this is our team. We care about this franchise.
God, yeah, we care.
I mean, the show is Jake Jackets. Come on, people. Like this is. You cut out a lot. Say that again.
I said we care far too much at times.
At times, yeah.
I got a text. It's funny, like earlier today. Group chat, me and my girlfriend and her friends.
Yeah.
And, texted. He's like, so are we gonna see the Devils in when they come to Columbus in December? Like that trip? And I just responded, no. I was like, for the love of God, no. I was like, I can't do part 3. The first 2 are just too doing it again. Full well, when December rolls around, I'm going to be there. It's gonna roll around. I'm gonna be like, so we getting tickets? Like, where we sitting?
God, how I wish I could go to Sunrise for my birthday.
That'd be sick. I'd love to see a game there.
That would be very fun. Get together with Kat and watch the Cats and the Jackets.
Go up and be like, oh, there's Brooks Koepka. Bro's pounding a beer. Just won another major tournament.
As long as what's his face? Fucking Kodak Black isn't there?
Kodak Black. There's some work on him in the tweets. Yeah.
Oh, no. I think okay, so we've gone way too long. I do want to say, just as a wrap, we are starting training camp.
Yeah.
Today was the first day.
Tex is back. It's good to see him back, see him smiling.
Great to see Tex back. Oh my God.
We've missed him.
Traverse City, just a little touch up on Traverse. Jeremy and Laura were there. Danny and Kyle were there. They all had a fucking blast.
And Kyle, eh?
Yeah, congrats to Danny and Kyle.
Awesome.
It's really, really nice for those two. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny continues to do incredible work. Kyle continues to do incredible work. Same with Jeremy and Laura. And you know who also does incredible work? Adam fucking Fantilli.
Yeah, he does. that had the dueling hat tricks.
Disgusting.
Right? It was just like Adam one day and Bedard the next day, and it was just like
better.
Yeah, Fantilli's was better.
Fantilli's was better.
Fantilli's Hattie was better, but dude, Bedard shot. That kid's shot. Woo!
Dude. Oh,
But dude, the league is in trouble.
I feel for anybody who tries to block it.
The league is in trouble with these kids. This is going to be a fun year.
God, he's going to be so nasty.
Fantilli was great. Svo, doing his thing. Hey, didn't Matichuk, eh?
Good. Yeah. I heard he looked really good.
Really good for that captain. Like, he looks like he could be a future captain of this team.
Yeah.
Adam wearing an A looks really nice, right?
Over under how many years it's going to take for
him to get an A?
We putting it at 1.5?
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna bet
next season.
Just over. I'll bet over. I'll bet 2.
Okay.
I'll give him 2.
Fair, but I'm just saying I can see it, dude.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. The whole thing with the first game, or was that the Red Wing? Was that the Red Wings game where like the ice was melting and they had the whole thing and they didn't broadcast everything else and like they all moved?
Yeah.
That was the Wings game. Okay.
The game that they were down 4-1 in, it was 4-1 heading into the period, and then they ended up winning 10-7.
10-7. Like
what?
And the graphic from one of the teams was like, I don't know who got the 7th for Detroit. It was great.
It's like player scores for Detroit.
Congrats to the Columbus rookies for winning the damn thing again. It's like whatever. It's like old hat.
Yeah.
I heard that, like all the other kids, Dume looking great, Malatesta looking awesome. Both of those kids look like they're going to be dangerous.
Nice.
I think that, Dume's looking nice.
All nice.
I think that they might make an exception for him like they did with Shane Wright. Or was that it was Dume, right?
For
the juniors exception to play in the A?
That'd be sick if they did.
Something like that. That'd be really good for him, I think.
The thing I would like about him going back to juniors is that it would help keep another year of his ELC.
That would, yeah, for sure.
Like age 20 and just be sick off the hobby to him for 3 years.
Matichuk, Juracek, Voronkov, they all look great.
Mm-hmm.
Rice Abbey, all the kids that we are looking forward to during training camp, regardless of where they end up.
Yeah, Tyler Peddle looked good too.
Tyler Peddle looked awesome. Pedal to the metal, baby. Let's go.
I'm all in on him. Like, could you imagine?
I know.
Mr. Irrelevant in 2 different sports. Tyler Peddle this year for Columbus, and then you have Brock Purdy last year for the 49ers. Could you imagine? Just throwing it out there. Mr. Irrelevant might be
pretty relevant.
It would be pretty cool to see.
We're gonna wrap it up there, but we're excited for Pazzi. We're excited for.
We didn't really talk about that, in my opinion. We talked too much about how incredible he looks for his age. I'm really happy for the guy. I want to
really happy for Pazzi. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing we covered was just being mad that they didn't go for him in the first place.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm expecting if he just stays healthy, I'm expecting a really big year for Patrik Laine because he loves the guy. He clearly gels with him.
Yeah,
whether center or on the wing doesn't matter to me. I think he's going to cook. His game is starting to come together. I think we're going to see a complete year from Patrik Laine, where you're going to be like, this is a complete player.
Yes, I'm hoping that for Patty. I've got big sophomore expectations for KJ.
Mm-hmm. Big year for
Big year for who?
Whole cylinder.
Big year for number 4. Now that he stripped the 3 off of his jersey, doesn't look as good, does it? No,
terrible.
Doesn't look as good.
4 is a defenseman number.
Yeah, I do want to say we did get some injuries to start camp. Olivier's week to week with a broken leg. Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah.
It's ouch. I'm trying to find this from Portsy. I know I'm running the clock. I feel bad, but hey, we haven't been around in a week and a half, and we had some big stuff to cover, right?
There were some injuries that were important to note. I can't think of any, but like I remember Olivier's was bad. So
Olivier's was bad. Poor Jake Bean, this guy.
Yeah, Jake Bean. That's brutal.
Re-aggravating the abductor strain. He's probably going to miss the most time.
Yeah, it feels like we're not going to see a ton of Jake Bean moving forward.
It's a shame because we put okay stock in that trade, right? Like,
yeah, you trade a second round pick that was a part of the really big Seth Jones deal for a former first round pick who had a pretty good year, albeit in limited and sheltered appearances for Carolina, and you're hoping that he does something. And he showed flashes offensively. His defense was never that good, and then he gets hurt. Like it sucks, but it is what it is. I'm not upset about it. I'm not taking a shot.
Right. No. So it sucks for those two. Terry's day to day. It's a different injury for Terry this time. It's like unrelated to his other surgery.
Okay.
And then Kirill is also day to day with back soreness. So like he got injured getting ready for camp.
That is unfortunate.
That sucks. Those are the four big ones. Those are the four like actual like injuries to start camp. But like we're excited for number 11. We're excited for more number 13. There's 91. There's a lot of guys. The new guys, friggin' 9 and 78. Excited to see what they can do.
Yeah. I like, no offense to David Severson, because I like the guy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He deserves a lot of hate for picking 78. That's a terrible number.
I think it looks all right. Looks okay.
Right there. He's been 28 his entire career. I know you miss your boy Oliver, but unfortunately he's not one of the stores. So take 28 and call it a day.
I don't know, man. But I'm excited to see what those two can do. I'm excited for a full year of Z back.
We hope.
Like, come on, man. He's all clear to go. Like, fingers crossed that he could stay.
Listen.
Big bounce back from number 90. Come on, Elvis. Did you see his new mask? That shit looks sick.
I did not.
It's a sick mask, and we better see some good results.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Look good, feel good, play good.
Yeah.
The fresh slate, it's a new season. So, time for everybody to hit the reset button and hopefully with all this being put past them, these players want to move on. I think it's going to bring them closer together. I think you're going to see the Blue Jackets. I don't know. Maybe they'll surprise some people and start off the season hot. Be great to see. It's big.
This
not
is
this joke, but he said on 32 Thoughts, he's like, who knows? Maybe they'll be shot out of a cannon to start the season.
Who knows, man? We're firing them all off. Let's do it.
Do it.
Do it, baby. We'll see y'all. Season previews start next week. Let's go. We're bringing on guests, and we're starting off out west. Get ready for some Vegas fever.
Love it.
Coming at you next week. All right.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.